Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, all U.S. Constitution protects all lives matter. And good morning to President Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance. I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, you are aware of the U.S. Constitution protects all lives matter litigation being held up in the court system and being covered up by Obama loyalists. These people need to be brought down to justice. These individuals are supporting Zoran Mondani, a communist Islamist who hates Italian Americans, who hates Americans, and who hates Christians. As you've seen him giving the finger to Christopher Columbus while he was holding a cross in his hand and a Bible in the other. This is facts. More factual is the fact that he even made videos of himself mimicking people and attacking the Hasidic Jewish faith, attacking Christianity. Christianity was the rock that was building this country, founded this country by our forefathers in 1775 when they drafted the U.S. Constitution. And we the people, for the people, by the people is the motto. And in God we trust. Ladies and gentlemen, the false news that's being controlled is sad. I notified the individual public advocate's office about a situation dealing with a U.S. Navy veteran who was temporarily disabled due to surgical procedures, and 3 videotapes that prove beyond a reasonable doubt that members of the Hunts Point Terminal Market committed perjury, committed violations of the Civil RICO Act, committed the Hobbs Act, committed violation of the New York City human rights laws and New York State human rights laws, and FOIL Act and Freedom of Information Act. Now, when that happens, the U.S. courts take control because federal laws supersede state laws. And those applications are proven and are listed within the United States Constitution and the United States Code. When you violate 18 U.S.C. 1001, as so many of these Democrats have done today, then you're held to the strict promise and performance of Title 18 U.S.C. 1001 and 28 U.S.C. 1746, which both statutes govern the application and standards of sworn oaths and what is averred to a court of law under oath. And if you break that law, what is the ramifications? When a law enforcement official breaks the law, he also violates 18 U.S.C. 241 and 242. So when you put somebody on trial, as we have 2 trial cases in the Bronx, 2016 BX 0454027 and 2016 BX 026017, tried by Tara Collins and Judge Wang in Bronx Supreme Court. These individuals denied him a right to trial by jury demand because this trial, a jury was requested and he was refused a jury trial. That's a 7th Amendment violation, ladies and gentlemen, and 14th. But needless to say, set that aside. The Public Advocacy Office instructed me the only thing we could do is refer you to the Human Rights Commission, which has done nothing. And they were told that. And they said, okay, we'll get back to you on that. And I said, and they asked me, what would you like done? I said, I'd like for an investigation to be opened into the impeding of the Hunts Point Terminal Market, a city-owned property. Because on the front gate it says, Ports and Terminals, New York City Ports and Terminals. That is not a private entity. If the city rents to a private entity that discriminates against people, that lease is automatically null and void. So again, ladies and gentlemen, where is the U.S. Constitution when it comes to be applied to Italian American Roman Catholics and others? I'll tell you where. They don't exist in their minds because they're communists in disguise. They are the fox in sheep's clothing. They are treasonous. As Barack Hussein Obama is to the United States Senate and Congress, should go after him and impeach him, as they repeatedly seek to impeach Donald J. Trump. Where is the equal protection application of law? I have the proof. They have the proof in court records. They were emailed those videotapes. Where are they? Those videotapes are in YouTube's indices. They don't show up anymore. Who removed them? The FBI, are you controlling YouTube with your band of Mary and Fairy U.S. top echelon rats? People like Gene Borrelli, they give a pass, and he keeps continuously beating people, beating women, violating his 5K1 letter. Is he going back to trial for that? His original charge? No. And that's the law. That is the law. Why? Why isn't the law being equally applied to top echelon rats? What makes them so special? They're more of a burden financially to the U.S. government. DOJ should remove their stipend monthly and remove their housing from them. The U.S. Marshal Service needs to remove that. That's special treatment. That's called fixing a case. If you do that, you go to jail for a minimum of 10 years. They do that, it's okay. Look what they did for Sammy the Bull. 19 bodies they forgave him. He went to Arizona, and the FBI was watching him, protecting him while he was selling drugs. If you or I do that, life in prison. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is one area I want to talk about. Secondly, is the fact that the individuals are breaking the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. constitutional vested rights that are afforded to you to protect the citizens already born in America, work in America, Americans' blood. Why aren't the individual BOP officials being brought to justice for intentionally targeting Italian-American Roman Catholics and altering their sentences in federal prison and lengthening them? When you lengthen a sentence, that's being arbitrarily and capricious and in violation of law. But what's also violated is white slavery laws. The same laws that Black Lives Matter movement said that they broke with the slaves in the past, and Barack Hussein Obama gave them $1.25 billion in reparation, are the same laws that are being broken against the Italian Americans, Roman Catholics, and others. Where is the Italian Americans' reparation? Where is the reparation for Kevin Rizzoli's loss to have children? That is called genocide. When an individual, group, race, or religious group is targeted and loss of births are sustained to them and obtained through the use of gadgets. When they conducted that surgical procedure in February of 2008 under the Obama administration, that's genocide. That calls for UN tribunals panel to be impaneled and trial be set. And the application of Articles 2 through 9 do apply to Barack Hussein Obama and his subordinates. BOP directors past, have committed acts of violation of UN treaty laws and should be subjected to those laws. Since BLM wanted to change America and has gradually changed America's speech and tried to rewrite history and erase any involvement of the Italian Americans and other ethnic groups. So therefore, they too, since Patrisse Cullors and Rosa Opal stated in the news, I'm not making it up, it's in the archives, that they were trained Marxist organizers, and we want to annihilate the white race. That is such a racial statement, and Barack Hussein Obama makes that statement also when he says he is their advisor. So that means he participated in such, and it reflects as such, since there are secret memos circulating under his administration and the Biden administration to target Italian American Roman Catholic federal agents. They not only want to target Italian Americans that are in prison and on the street, Roman Catholics that are Italians that are on the street and in prison, but they want to attack Italian American Roman Catholic federal agents. That is funny, but it's sad. But nobody brings it out in the open. But in 2008, Barack Hussein Obama made sure he gave $1.25 billion in reparation to the blacks in INRI, Black Farmers Asset Litigation, and it could be looked up in D.C. Circuit, 2008, signed off by him and Eric Holder. So again, ladies and gentlemen, where is the BOP officials being taken and tried for acts of genocide? Warden Morris, Warden White, Miss Easterling in charge of records in MDC Brooklyn, Unit Manager Shack, Unit Manager in MDC Brooklyn, Warden Terrell, MDC Brooklyn, the records officer in MCC New York, Miss Tanner, records officer in FCC Allenwood, Mr. McCluskey, their attorney, FCC Allenwood, and others. Mr. McCluskey is directly tied to a cover-up in Rizzoli versus FCI Allenwood et al. 225 Fed 3rd 650, 3rd Circuit 2001. And Rizzoli versus the BOP et al. 230 Fed 3rd 371, DC Circuit 2001. So again, ladies and gentlemen, where is justice? We are awaiting justice. We are awaiting the reparation for the Italian Americans, Sicilian Americans who were targeted while in Federal Bureau of Prisons. And subpoena those individual federal agents, Italian American and Roman Catholics, that can validate those memorandums being circulated. And news reporters who also can validate those memorandums being circulated secretly around the U.S. Department of Justice under Obama-Biden administrations. That's a violation of Articles 2 through 9 and 18 U.S.C. 2441. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And remember one thing. Proof is there. Proof is also in Rizzoli versus the Executive Office, U.S. Attorney et al. Before the Second Circuit as we speak, 25-1580, which was covered up by Judge Laura Swain and 21 CV 4138. Thank you very much.